the previous episode, Ole.K asked about the evolution history of the Lacerta race. From the true cause of the mass extinction of life, to the birth of the earliest ancestors of the Lacerta race after the Box Winter. Let's now see how history developed from there.
These beings were intelligent enough not to die in the next millions of years, because they learned to change their behavior. They lived in caves instead in the cold nature, and they learned to use stones and branches as first tools, and the use of fire as help to warm them, especially to warm their blood, which is very important for our kind to survive. During the next 20 million years, this species was divided by nature into 27 subspecies. Unfortunately, former reptilian species were prone to divide themselves in a more or less unlogical way into subspecies during the evolution process. You can clearly see this in the unnecessary high number of animal dinosaur species in earlier times, and there were many mainly primitive wars between the subspecies for dominance. Well, nature was not very friendly to us, and as far as we know from the 27 subspecies, 24 were extinct in primitive wars and in evolution, because their organism and mind was not developed enough to survive, and as main reason they were not able to change their blood temperature in the right way if the climate changed. 50 million years after the war, and after the end of dinosaurs, only 3 now also technological advanced reptilian species were remaining on this planet together with all the other lower animals. Through natural and artificial crossbreedings, these 3 species were united to one reptilian species, and through the invention of genetic manipulations, we were able to eliminate the dividing-prone genes in our genetic structure. According to our history and belief, this was the time when our final reptilian race, as you see me today, was created by use of genetic engineering. This was around 10 million years ago, and our evolution nearly stopped at this point. Well, actually there were some minor changes in our look toward a more humanoid and mammal-like appearance during the coming ages, but we have not divided again into subspecies. You see, we are a very old race in comparison to your kind, which was jumping around as small monkey-like animals in the trees at this time while we invented technology, colonized other planets of this system, built large cities on this planet, which disappeared without a trace in the ages, and engineered our own genes while your genes were still those of animals. 10 million years ago, the small simians started to grow, and they came down from the trees to the ground again because of the change of the climate, especially on the so-called African continent. But they evolved very slow, as it is normal for a mammal, and if nothing extraordinary had happened to your kind, we wouldn't be able to sit here and talk, because I would sit in my comfortable modern house, and you would sit in your cave clothed with fur and trying to discover the secrets of fire, or you would maybe sit in one of our zoos. But things have developed differently, and you believe now you are the crown of creation, and you can sit in the modern house, and we must hide and live beneath the earth and in remote areas. Around 1.5 million years ago, another alien species arrived at Earth. It was surprisingly the first species since over 60 million years. This would be more surprising for you if you knew how many different species there are today. The interest of this humanoid species, you call them Ole.K today, was not the raw material and the copper. It was, to our astonishment, the unadvanced ape humanoids. Despite of our presence on this planet, the aliens decided to help the apes to evolve a little bit faster, to serve them in the future as some kind of slave race in coming wars. The fate of your species was not really important for us, but we didn't like the presence of the Ole.K on our planet, and they didn't like our presence on their new galactic zoo planet, and so your 6th and 7th creation was the reason for a war between us and them. You can read about that war, for example, partly in the book you call Bible, in a very strange way of description. The real truth is a very long and difficult story. Should I continue?
No, not now. I've made some notes about your history, and now I have some questions. First of all, you handle a very large time scale. You claim that your primitive ancestors lived together with the dinosaurs, survived the, as you called it, artificial cataclysm, and evolved then over 40 million years, and your evolution was completed 10 million years ago. This sounds very unbelievable to me. Can you say something about this?
I understand that this must sound absolutely unbelievable to you, because you are a young and genetically engineered species. Your historical horizon ends at a scale of just some thousands of years, and you think this is right. But it isn't. This is impossible. Your program mind is obviously not able to handle with such large timescales. Our evolution time may seem incredible long to you, but this is in fact the original way of nature. Remember, your early mammal ancestors developed together with dinosaurs, and they survived the bomb like us. They evolved slowly during the next millions of years, and they divided into various species and shapes, some of them larger, some of them smaller. This is evolution of the body. But what about their mind and intelligence? They were simple animals. The mammals evolved since, let us say, 150 millions of years, but only in the last 2-3 millions of years they were able to become intelligent and thinking. And within this small period, beings like you were created. From nature, 148 millions of years time for the evolution of animal-like mammals, 2 millions of years time for the development of more or less intelligent beings like you. Ask yourself, do you really think this accelerated evolution is natural? Then your species is more ignorant than I thought. We have not evolved wrong but you.
I understand. But I have another question. Uve mentioned many facts about the ancient war between the aliens 65 million years ago. This happened very long before your kind became really intelligent, as far as I have understood you. Why do you know so many things about that first war and about the evolution of your species?
This is a good question, much better than the previous, and I have not explained it properly to you. Our knowledge about the First War comes completely from an ancient artifact which was found around 16000 years ago from our archaeologists on the continent you call North America today. They found a round plate with a diameter of approximately 47 of your centimeters. The plate was made of an even for us unknown magnetic material, and inside the plate there was another smaller crystal plate which contained an enormous amount of information coded in the molecular structure of the crystal. This memory plate was manufactured from the last bomb survivors of the human race from Procyon already 65 million years ago, but it was completely intact when we found it. Our scientists were able to encode the messages and data, and so we heard for the first time about the events which took place in the distant past and which led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. The plate contained detailed descriptions of both species, but more about the humanoids and about the events and weapons, including the fusion bomb. It also contained a description of the animals and saurians on Earth, including our pre-intelligent ancestor species. The rest of our knowledge about our evolution comes from skeletons and from the back reading and encoding of our DNA. You see, we have known the real truth about our roots in 16,000 years. Before that time, there was a more religious idea of our creation.
The cause of the mass extinction was a war between two extraterrestrial species, not an asteroid or comet impact. Unfortunately, there is no mention of archaeological evidence or even the use of scientific thought experiments to support such a claim. In contrast, the anomalous distribution of iridium in rock or clay layers, which supports the idea of an asteroid impact, has been observed or studied by geologists in the 1980s and 1990s, along with other geological observations that can be used as reasons for an asteroid impact. While it is true that the presence of iridium in rock layers has been used as evidence for an asteroid impact, this is just one piece of evidence among many that support this theory. Other evidence includes the presence of shocked quartz, tektites, glass formed from the impact of a meteorite, and the presence of a layer of sediment around the world that contains high levels of iridium and other elements. It is also worth noting that the theory of an asteroid impact causing the mass extinction of species has been widely accepted by the scientific community based on a wealth of evidence, including the aforementioned geological observations, as well as the presence of a large crater on Earth, the Chicxulub crater, that is believed to have been caused by an asteroid impact around the time of the mass extinction event. If you're not asleep yet, I'll praise your patience again. Although I would like to discuss the photos taken by NASA that appear to be remains of civilizations, the connection to extraterrestrial colonies, or the possibility that human evolution was aided by extraterrestrial races, today has already taken too much time and we can discuss this later. If you enjoyed this film, please share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming exciting program. Thank you for your anticipation.